talk about a new report released by the Family Research Council. It's an updated report on the first quarter of this year on attacks on churches. Now, let me just kind of set the stage here. The first 3 months of 2023 saw almost 3 times the number of acts of hostility perpetrated against churches as in the same time frame last year. Now, when we see these things, sometimes we need to look beyond what's going on here. I think this speaks to the spiritual battle that is raging in our country. But it's important to know the facts. And so joining me now to talk about this is the author of the report, Arielle Del Turco, who is the Assistant Director of the Center for Religious Liberty here at the Family Research Council. Arielle, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
All right, so what inspired this report and what did you find out as you updated the report?
Well, FRC has been tracking this issue since last year. We went back 5 years at the time to 2018, trying to find out if this feeling that we had that attacks against churches were increasing was really true, and we found a very stark increase. And so we continued tracking this issue, and this year alone, we found a massive increase from, as you said, last year in the same time frame, but also from the last 3 months of 2022 when there were only 54 incidents. This January through March, there were 69. So this is concerning to anyone who cares about religious freedom.
So what types of crimes are we talking about that were most frequently reported against churches?
So this report includes vandalism, arson, gun-related incidents, bomb threats, and other types of assaults that might take place on church property. Most of the incidents were vandalisms. Some of them contained very hateful messages, but some of them were just senseless destruction that really shocked the pastors and communities that experienced it. So all of these are very serious issues, and they pose a real threat to the ability of Christians and Christian communities to go to church without feeling like they're being targeted.
Now, Arielle, you also work internationally as we look at what is happening in my former position as the chairman of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. I know we did a lot internationally. So juxtapose that for just a moment. When we look at these attacks internationally, it's really a form of terrorism. It's designed to instill fear in the hearts of people, to drive them away from religion or their church or their organization that they're connected with. Is that the same thing we see happening here?
You know, some of the incidents, they are designed to intimidate, but regardless of the motivation of some of the people, the attackers of these churches, the result can be the same. The result can still feel like intimidation. It can feel like, oh, we're getting vandalized for expressing our beliefs on this issue, whether that's the life issue or just articulating the word of God to congregants. The temptation can be to pull back, but that's really wrong. We need to be doing what God has called us to do, regardless of what the world around us is doing, and be going to church, be praying, be a public witness, regardless of the consequences.
Now, Arielle, I know it wasn't, I don't think it's necessarily part of the report, but as you were compiling this update in this first quarter, seeing this spike, why do you think, in particular, January of this year, which saw a significant increase, what do you think was driving that?
Well, in part, I think it was Christmas. Some of the attacks included vandalisms of nativity scenes, or I don't know. I think it's the public witness of the Christmas holiday as Christianity in public really sparked some of that backlash. But some of it is just a growing secularism in general. People just don't have the same respect for churches that they might have had 10, 20, several decades ago. So there's some of that as well, but some of the problem, I think we can't attribute it to natural causes. I think there's a spiritual element here that when some of these incidences just seem inexplicable, the reality is that they just can't be explained in the natural. And as you mentioned in your introduction, there's spiritual warfare going on here.
Yeah, and therefore we need to realize that the weapons of our warfare, they're not carnal, they're spiritual. And so, this is something we need to be praying about, praying into, something we need to as Paul wrote in Ephesians 6, put on the whole armor of God, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, against rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. We need to realize that. Final question for you, Arielle. Where can folks find this report and get a copy?
Yeah, people can find it on our homepage for Family Research Council at frc.org.
All right. Thank you, Arielle. Great job.